Free who, man? Big Bo out.
Ain't no more free my dude, fuck.
None of that pain they gave me.
Take that shit off,
Give me mine.
Ain't no more free my nigga. Where you hoes was at? Where was y'all at?
And tonight, a family searching for answers 2 years after the homicide of Jerriny Caples. Our Zaria Oates sat down with the family about their search for the suspect and the grief they manage every day.
Please speak up for my sister, y'all. Please.
What happened to Jerriny Caples is something no family prepares for.
She was found in the back of the vehicle, slumped over on the driver's side. She had been shot once in the head.
A masked figure walks away from a white Jeep Cherokee, carrying a brown designer backpack. The doorbell camera captures every step, but the face remains hidden. Inside that car, Jerriny Caples sits motionless in the back seat, a single gunshot wound to her head. She was only 26 years old. 3 days. That's all it took for celebration to become tragedy. Just 72 hours earlier, Jerriny had been smiling, excited, full of hope. She had picked up her boyfriend from prison after waiting through his entire sentence. She stood by him when others walked away, believing in second chances and that love could conquer anything. On November 11, 2021, Memphis police found Jerriny's body on Print Avenue. The young mother of two would never see her children grow up or get the happy ending she had dreamed about during those lonely nights of waiting. Her family was devastated. Her father, Jerry, couldn't understand how his loving daughter ended up dead. Her loved ones took to Facebook, pouring their hearts out in posts that revealed raw, heartbreaking pain. What happened in those 72 hours that turned a joyful reunion into murder? Who was that person walking away with the MCM backpack? And why did someone want Jerriny dead just days after she welcomed her man home? Welcome to our channel. Please like this video, share and subscribe to this channel to help raise awareness and spread caution. Stay tuned as we reveal everything about this case. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this story. Let's begin.
Step out for show.
What's up, Greg?
Stepping out for show. What's up, Jay? Great. Man, take that shit off. Look at Leah. Oh, man, y'all got her money with. She ain't fucking with it.
Everyone called her Jay. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, she attended Hamilton Elementary, middle school, and high school, staying close to her neighborhood and the people who mattered most. Jerriny was a devoted mother of 2 children. Being a mom was everything to her. She worked tirelessly to give her kids a good life, even when circumstances got tough. Her children were her world, her driving force, her reason for getting up every morning. Her family was tight-knit. Her father, Jerry Caples, was her rock, raising a daughter who was kind, caring, and always put others first. Jerry would later say that Jerriny had a generous heart, maybe too generous for her own good. She was the type of person who would help anyone, even when it put her at risk. Jerriny had 2 sisters, Candace Parker and Lameshia Sims. The 3 sisters were close, sharing secrets and dreams while supporting each other through everything life threw their way. Her family described her as someone who don't bother nobody. She minded her own business, stayed out of drama, and wanted to live peacefully. When people argued, she calmed everyone down. When someone needed help, she was first to offer assistance. Those who knew her said she would give you her last dollar if you needed it, listen to your problems for hours without complaining, and stand by you when everyone else walked away. She saw the good in everyone, even when others couldn't. She believed people could change, believed in second chances, and believed that love could fix almost anything. This was the woman who decided to wait for her boyfriend while he was incarcerated, who believed their love story could have a happy ending, who thought picking him up would be the start of something beautiful. Jerriny Caples was a good person who deserved so much better than what happened to her. Love makes people do extraordinary things. For Jerriny, love meant waiting through expensive phone calls, visits behind thick glass windows, and lonely nights when her bed felt too empty. While most people would have walked away from a partner in prison, Jerriny made a different choice. She decided to stay, building a relationship on hope more than reality, surviving on promises and dreams instead of daily shared experiences. Every week, She drove to prison for visits, sitting across from him separated by glass, talking through phones that made voices sound distant and hollow. She told him about her day, the kids, how much she missed him. He told her how sorry he was, how much he loved her, how different things would be when he got out. The phone calls were expensive, but Jerriny didn't care about the cost. She put money on his books so he could call her, answering every time regardless of what she was doing. Her friends probably thought she was making a mistake. Her family probably worried about her choices. But Jerriny had made up her mind. She believed in second chances, that people could change, that her love could help him become a better man when he returned to society. While he was locked up, Jerriny lived like a single mom, but wasn't really single. She was committed to someone she could only see through prison glass. She turned down other men who asked her out, spent her free time writing letters and planning for a future that felt impossibly far away. Jerriny had dreams about their life together after his release. She thought about real dates instead of prison visits, him meeting her children properly, maybe becoming a father figure to them. She dreamed about a normal relationship where they could hold hands, go to movies, and build something real together. She saved money for his release day, planned what they would do first when he got out, and probably thought about their future. Maybe marriage, maybe more kids, maybe just happiness together. For months, possibly years, Jerriny held on to these dreams. She sacrificed her own happiness and freedom for someone behind bars, put her life on hold because she believed their love story would have a happy ending. When his release date finally came, Jerriny was ready. She had waited long enough, been loyal long enough, made enough sacrifices. Now it was time for their real life to begin. She had no idea that her loyalty would cost her everything. November 2021. The day Jerriny had been waiting for finally arrived. Her boyfriend was getting out of prison, and she was going to be there to pick him up. Jerriny probably couldn't sleep the night before. She had waited so long for this moment. All those visits behind glass, expensive phone calls, and lonely nights were finally over. She was about to get her man back. She got dressed that morning, probably picking out something special. She wanted to look good for him, wanted this day to be perfect. This was supposed to be the beginning of their real life together. The drive to the prison must have felt different than all the previous times. Instead of going for a visit that would end in goodbye, she was going to bring him home. Her heart was probably racing with excitement and nervous energy. When she saw him walk out those prison doors, it must have felt like a dream come true. No more glass between them. No more time limits on conversations. No more guards watching every move. He was free, and they were finally together.
Free who? Free who?
Talk your shit, Greg. Talk your shit.
Shut up.
Jerriny had played this moment in her head 1,000 times. She probably thought about how it would feel to hug him without anyone telling them to stop. Thought about all the things they would do together now that he was out. The celebration she had dreamed about was finally happening. They could go wherever they wanted, eat at a real restaurant instead of talking through prison phones, hold hands while walking down the street. They could be a normal couple at last. The first day after his release probably felt amazing. They were finally together, finally free to be a real couple. Jerriny had waited so long, and now it was happening. She probably felt like all her sacrifice had been worth it, but something was different. Prison changes people, and the pressures of re-entering society can be overwhelming. The man who walked out might not have been exactly the same person who went in. Maybe he had developed new problems, new stress patterns. Maybe the pressure of being free was harder than he expected. The adjustment period was more difficult than either of them anticipated. We don't know exactly what happened during these crucial hours, but tension was building. Something was going wrong. The fairy tale reunion that Jerriny had dreamed about wasn't turning out as planned. Maybe they argued about something significant. Maybe he was struggling to adjust to life outside prison walls. Maybe there were issues that Jerriny didn't see coming. The details of those conversations will probably never be known, but conflict was growing. By the third day, whatever was happening between them had reached a breaking point. The love story that Jerriny had believed in for so long was about to become a nightmare. November 11th, 2021, 6 p.m. Someone made a 911 call that would change everything for the Caples family forever. There's a woman in a car, and I think she's dead. The call came from Print Avenue in the Nutbush neighborhood of Memphis, a community where people knew each other, where neighbors looked out for each other, where kids played in the streets. It was the kind of place where something like this wasn't supposed to happen. When Memphis police arrived, they found a white Jeep Cherokee sitting in a driveway. From the outside, it might have looked like someone was taking a nap in their car. But as officers got closer, they realized this was much worse. Inside the vehicle, they found Jerriny Caples slumped over in the back seat, not the driver's seat. This detail was crucial because it meant she probably wasn't driving when she was killed. Someone had either moved her body or forced her into the back of the car. Jerriny had been shot once in the head. One bullet had ended the life of a 26-year-old mother who had so much to live for. The woman who had waited years for her boyfriend to come home from prison was now dead, just 3 days after his release. Police immediately secured the area and began their investigation. They called for backup, crime scene technicians, and the coroner. Print Avenue, quiet just minutes before, was now filled with flashing lights and police cars. The officers who responded had seen terrible things in Memphis. But this case hit differently. Jerriny looked so young, so peaceful, like she was just sleeping. But the reality was much darker. Detectives started asking questions immediately. Who was Jerriny? Why was she in this neighborhood? Who would want to hurt her? When was the last time anyone saw her alive? Just days ago, Jerriny had been excited about her boyfriend coming home. Now she was dead, and they didn't understand why. Crime scene technicians worked through the night, looking for any clue that might help them find Jerriny's killer. They took photographs, collected evidence, and interviewed anyone who might have seen something relevant. But the most important piece of evidence was already waiting for them. A doorbell camera from a nearby house had captured something that would become crucial to the investigation. The doorbell camera footage became both the most important and most frustrating clue in Jerriny's case. Memphis police spent hours studying the video, watching it repeatedly, hoping to find something that would help identify the killer. The footage showed a person walking away from the driveway where Jerriny's body was found. But there was a significant problem. The person was wearing a mask that covered their entire face. This wasn't accidental. The killer had planned this, knowing there might be cameras around. So they made sure to hide their identity. But the person in the video was carrying something that caught investigators' attention, a brown MCM designer backpack. MCM is an expensive brand, and this particular backpack was very distinctive with a specific pattern and style that made it stand out. Police thought this backpack could be the key to solving the case. They released pictures of it to the public, hoping someone would recognize it. They contacted local stores to see if anyone had recently purchased an MCM backpack like this one. They checked social media to see if anyone had posted pictures wearing or carrying a similar bag. The problem was that the doorbell camera footage wasn't perfect. The video was blurry and the lighting wasn't ideal. While they could see the backpack clearly, other details were hard to make out. They couldn't tell if the person was tall or short, male or female, young or old. Detectives tried to enhance the video using special computer programs, but it didn't help much. As weeks turned into months, the case started to grow cold. Police had interviewed dozens of people, but no one had seen anything useful. They had followed up on every tip that came in, but none led anywhere productive. The brown MCM backpack remained their best clue, but it wasn't enough. Thousands of people owned similar backpacks. Without being able to see the person's face or get other identifying information, the backpack alone couldn't solve the case. Detectives also looked into Jerriny's personal life. They talked to her family, friends, and people who knew her boyfriend. They tried to understand what might have happened in those 3 days after his release from prison. But everyone they talked to said the same thing. Jerriny was a good person who didn't have enemies. Police developed several theories about what might have happened. Maybe it was a robbery gone wrong. Maybe someone followed Jerriny to steal her car or purse. Maybe it was someone who knew about her boyfriend's release and targeted her for some reason. But without more evidence, these were just theories. The case was stuck, and detectives were running out of leads. The masked figure in the doorbell camera footage had committed what seemed like the perfect crime. They had killed Jerriny and walked away without leaving enough evidence to be caught. Jerry Caples made a promise the day his daughter was murdered. "I won't rest until I find out who did this to my baby." And he meant it. While police struggled with blurry camera footage and dead-end leads, Jerry was conducting his own investigation. He walked through the Nutbush neighborhood, knocking on doors and asking questions. He talked to anyone who would listen, hoping someone had seen something that could help solve his daughter's case. Jerry wasn't a detective, but he was a father who had lost everything. His love for Jerriny gave him strength to keep going when the official investigation seemed to be stalling.
This video shows a suspect leaving the scene. 2 years later, the person still hasn't been identified.
The murder was picked up by a door cam, leaving the vehicle, so which kind of led me to believe that the person might stay somewhere in the area.
So he searches the area frequently, looking for any clues he can find. A tragedy no one can wrap their head around.
Candace Parker and Lameshia Sims, Jerriny's sisters, were fighting their own battle with grief. They had lost their sister, their friend, their family member who always tried to keep the peace. The pain was almost too much to handle. But instead of giving up, Candace and Lameshia decided to turn their pain into action. They started posting on social media about Jerriny's case, sharing her pictures, telling her story, and begging people come forward with information. The sisters organized vigils in Jerriny's memory, gathering with friends, family, and community members to light candles and remember the woman who had been taken from them too soon. These vigils weren't just about mourning. They were about keeping Jerriny's case in the public eye. The family also worked with local media to keep the story alive. They gave interviews to newspapers and TV stations, always with the same message. Someone knows who killed Jerriny, and they need to speak up. Money was tight for the family, but they scraped together what they could offer a reward for information. At first, it was a small amount, but as time went on and tips weren't coming in, they increased it to $4,000. $4,000 might not sound like much to some people, but for the Caples family, it represented real sacrifice. They were willing to give up money they needed for their own lives if it meant finding Jerriny's killer. The community started to rally around the family. People who had never met Jerriny began sharing her story on social media. Local businesses put up flyers with her picture and information about the reward. Church groups prayed for the family and for justice. Memphis Crime Stoppers also got involved, adding their own reward money to what the family had offered. They encouraged people to call in tips anonymously, hoping that someone who was afraid to talk to police directly might be willing to share what they knew. But as months turned into years, the tips slowed down. The media attention faded. Other crimes happened, and Jerriny's case got pushed to back pages. Jerry, Candace, and Lameshia refused to let their loved one be forgotten. They continued posting on social media every few months, reminding people that Jerriny's killer was still out there. They attended community meetings, asking for help and support. The family's fight for justice became a full-time job that they never wanted. But they couldn't stop because stopping would mean giving up on Jerriny, and they would never give up on her.
I just want justice for my sister. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Y'all, I need help. I need help.
If you know who killed Jerriny Caples, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Your tip could help put a dangerous criminal behind bars and $2,000 cash in your pocket. Remember, all calls are confidential.
Jerriny's story teaches us difficult truths about love, loyalty, and the dangers that can come with both. When someone gets out of prison, everything changes. They're dealing with stress, pressure, and a world that has moved on without them. This can create tension and problems that didn't exist before. If you're in a relationship with someone going through a major life transition like this, watch for warning signs. Are they more angry than usual? Are they acting differently? Are they making you feel unsafe? The period right after someone gets out of prison is especially vulnerable. They might have developed new problems, new pressures, or new ways of thinking that developed while they were incarcerated. This doesn't mean everyone who gets out of prison is dangerous, but it does mean that relationships during this time need extra care and attention. Jerriny's case also shows us how important it is for communities to look out for each other. Someone in that neighborhood might have seen something that could help solve this case. Maybe they thought it wasn't important, or maybe they were scared to get involved. But speaking up could make the difference between a killer going free and a family getting justice. We also need to remember that families of victims need our support long after the news cameras go away. Jerry, Candace, and Lame Shia are still fighting for answers years later. They need people to keep sharing Jerriny's story, keep offering tips, and keep caring about what happened to her. Cold cases don't solve themselves. They need people who refuse to give up, families who keep fighting, communities that keep caring, and individuals who are willing to speak up if they know something. Jerriny believed in second chances, but she paid the ultimate price for that belief. Her story reminds us that while it's good to see the best in people, we also need to protect ourselves and watch for red flags. The most important lesson from Jerriny's story is this: every victim deserves justice, no matter how much time has passed. For years have passed since Jerriny Caples was found shot dead in that white Jeep Cherokee. For years of birthdays she'll never celebrate with her children, holidays her family has to get through without her, and a killer walking free. The case remains officially open with the Memphis Police Department. Detectives still work on it when new tips come in, but without fresh evidence, there's only so much they can do. The brown MCM backpack is still the best clue they have, and they're still hoping someone will recognize it. If you know anything about this case, anything at all, you can help. Memphis Crime Stoppers is still accepting tips at 901-528 cash. You don't have to give your name or get involved beyond making a phone call, but that phone call could be the one that finally brings justice for Jerriny. Maybe you saw someone with a brown MCM backpack around that time. Maybe you heard someone talking about the case in a way that seemed suspicious. Maybe you know something about Jerriny's boyfriend or what happened in those 3 days after his release. Whatever it is, no matter how small it seems, it could be important. Jerriny's children are growing up without their mother. They're going to have questions about what happened to her. And right now, nobody has answers for them. These kids deserve to know that the person who took their mom away didn't get away with it. Jerry Caples is still fighting for his daughter. At his age, he shouldn't have to be walking through neighborhoods asking questions and begging for tips. But he won't stop because he can't stop. Jerriny was his baby, and he needs to know who took her away from him. Candace and Lame Shia are still posting on social media, still organizing vigils, still hoping that someone will finally speak up. They've turned their grief into a mission, but they shouldn't have to fight this battle alone. The person who killed Jerriny is still out there. They might have hurt someone else. They might hurt someone else. Every day this case goes unsolved is another day a dangerous person walks free in Memphis. Jerriny's legacy lives on through her children, but her story won't be complete until her killer is caught. She was more than just a victim. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a woman who believed in love even when it cost her everything. Her story reminds us that behind every crime statistic is a real person with real dreams that were cut short. We tell stories like Jerriny's because these victims deserve to have their stories told. They deserve to be remembered, and they deserve justice. The brown MCM backpack, the doorbell camera footage, and the 3 days between freedom and tragedy. These are the pieces of a puzzle that someone, somewhere, can help complete. Jerriny Caples believed in second chances, but she never got the chance to see if her faith was justified. Her family continues to fight for answers, and her community continues to hope that someone will finally speak up. Justice delayed is not justice denied. Not as long as people like Jerry, Candace, and Lame Shia refuse to give up. Not as long as cases like this continue to be shared and discussed. Not as long as there are people willing to listen and act when they hear something that might help. If you have any information about Jerriny's case, please contact Memphis Crime Stoppers at 901-528 cash. Your tip could be the key that finally brings justice to a family that has waited too long for answers. Don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to help us continue bringing attention to cases like Jerriny's. Every share could be the one that reaches the right person with the right information. Justice for Jerriny is still possible, but it's going to take all of us working together to make it happen.